Hello, YouTube world's brothers and sisters. Welcome to my channel. Today, we are on tour of Acropolis and Parthenon. En route, we are outside of the Panathenaic Stadium in Athens. This stadium dates back to the 4th century BC and was the site of the first modern Olympic Games in 1896 and remains the starting point of the Olympic flame torch relay. Before our visit to Acropolis, my humble request to you to kindly subscribe my channel. Acropolis is an ancient citadel located on a rocky outcrop above the city of Athens, Greece, and contains the remains of several ancient buildings of great architectural and historical significance, the most famous being the Parthenon. During ancient times, the Acropolis of Athens was also more properly known as Acropolis, after the legendary serpent man Cecrops, the supposed first Athenian king. While there is evidence that the hill was inhabited as early as the 4th millennium BC, it was Pericles, c. 495 to 429 BC, in the 5th century BC, who coordinated the construction of the buildings whose present remains are the site's most important ones, including the Parthenon, the Propylaea, the Erechtheion, and the Temple of Athena Nike. The Parthenon and the other buildings were seriously damaged during the 1687 siege by the Venetians during the Morean War, when gunpowder being stored by the then Turkish rulers in the Parthenon was hit by a Venetian bombardment and exploded. The entrance to the Acropolis was a monumental gateway termed the Propylaea. To the south of the entrance is the tiny Temple of Athena Nike. At the center of the Acropolis is the Parthenon, or Temple of Athena Parthenos, Athena the Virgin. East of the entrance and north of the Parthenon is the temple known as the Erechtheion. South of the platform that forms the top of the Acropolis, there are also the remains of the ancient, though often remodeled, Theatre of Dionysus. The ancient Theatre of Dionysus is regarded as the first sample of Greek theaters and the birthplace of drama. It was built into a natural hollow at the southern slopes of the Acropolis and is the first theater in the whole world. The theater was dedicated to Dionysus, the god of winemaking and ecstasy, whose festivals were the driving force behind the development of Greek theater. Established in the 6th century, the theater has been reconstructed many times since then. A few hundred meters away, there is the now partially reconstructed Odeon of Herodes Atticus. Parthenon is a former temple on the Athenian Acropolis, Greece, that was dedicated to the goddess Athena. Its decorative sculptures are considered some of the high points of classical Greek art, and the Parthenon is considered an enduring symbol of ancient Greece, democracy, and Western civilization. Because the Parthenon was dedicated to the Greek goddess Athena, it has sometimes been referred to as the Temple of Minerva, the Roman name for Athena, particularly during the 19th century. The Parthenon is a peripteral octostyle Doric temple with Ionic architectural features. It stands on a platform or stylobate of 3 steps. In common with other Greek temples, it is of post and lintel construction and is surrounded by columns, peripteral, carrying an entablature. There are 8 columns at either end, octostyle, and 17 on the sides. There is a double row of columns at either end. The colonnade surrounds an inner masonry structure, the cella, which is divided into 2 compartments. The opisthotomus, the back room of the cella, contain the monetary contributions of the Delian League. At either end of the building, the gable is finished with a triangular pediment originally occupied by sculpted figures. As the Greeks may have been aware, 2 parallel lines appear to bow, or curve outward, when intersected by converging lines. In this case, the ceiling and floor of the temple may seem to bow in the presence of the surrounding angles of the building. Striving for perfection, the designers may have added these curves, compensating for the illusion by creating their own curves, thus negating this effect and allowing the temple to be seen as the intended effect of these optical refinements. The sculpture decorating the Parthenon rivaled its architecture in careful harmony. The metopes over the outer colonnade were carved in high relief and represented mythical battles that alluded to the Greco-Persian Wars, in which the Greeks ultimately triumphed but not without losses of their own. On the east metopes, Gigantomachy, a battle between gods and giants, is depicted. On the south, Centauromachi, a battle between Lapiths, legendary people of Thessaly, and centaurs, and, on the west, probably Amazonomachy, a battle between Athenians and Amazons. The sculptures on the north are almost all lost, but they portrayed the defeat of Troy by the Greeks. The two pediments feature complex compositions of sculptures carved in the round. On the east, the only remaining groups are witnesses to the birth of Athena. On the right, three female figures, probably goddesses, sit together, one resting against the lap of another. The shapes of their bodies are clearly visible beneath swirling fabric, and their positions become increasingly reclined as the sculptures reach the narrow points of the triangular pediment. On the west pediment is Athena's contest with the sea god Poseidon for domination of the region around Athens. On the interior of the Parthenon there is a continuous low-relief frieze around the top of the exterior cella wall, likely representing the Panathenaic procession of citizens honoring Athena. It begins on the west end with officials and young men mounting their horses and citizens loosely grouped. The pedestrians become more crowded, and the cavalcade seemingly picks up speed with horses at full gallop toward the east end, where the frieze culminates with a priest and priestess of Athena flanked by two groups of seated gods. The entire work is a marvel of composition and clarity, which was further enhanced by color and bronze accessories. The Erechtheion, or Temple of Athena Polias, is an ancient Greek Ionic temple on the north side of the Acropolis, Athens, which was primarily dedicated to the goddess Athena. The eastern part of the building was dedicated to the Athena Polias, while the western part of the building served the cult of Poseidon Erechtheus and held the altars of Hephaestus and Vutos, brother of Erechtheus. The Temple of Athena Nike was built between 427 and 424 BC. It is an Ionic temple at the southwestern end of the sacred rock of the Acropolis. Nike was the goddess of victory in Greek mythology, and Athena was worshipped in this form, representative of being victorious in war. The citizens worshipped the goddesses in hopes of a successful outcome in the long Peloponnesian war fought against the Spartans and allies. Now, it is time to say goodbye to Acropolis. See you in Delphi. Thank you for subscribing.